Welcome back to the Raice Brothers podcast. Hey guys, super pumped for today. We're going to be rocking. We're going to talk all about Rabbi Shimon, Gewalt, Lag BaOmer is coming up this week, and we are so excited. And obviously, many of us are not able to be by Rabbi Shimon, and many of us like to be by Rabbi Shimon on Lag BaOmer. But this year, this is where it's at, and Gewalt, we're going to have to bring Rabbi Shimon into our minds and hearts the best way we can. So today we are going to be just talking about Rabbi Shimon, what he means to us, what it's like going to Kivrei Tzadikim in general, but specifically to Rabbi Shimon on Lag BaOmer and other times of the year, and just Gewalt, how we can connect in the most beautiful ways. So Yaakov, take us away, brother.
Well, first of all, good to be back with you guys. I feel like when you talk about Rabbi Shimon, there's always manias to go to tzaddikim. Like Rabbi Nachman always tells us, there's anytime you want to do something good, there's going to be a manias. And when you want to go to connect to a tzaddik, which is like the highest, because that connects you straight to Hashem, there's going to be major manias. It's like, I just want to let our listeners know that we've been sitting here for like an hour trying to get started, and we have one thing after the next that's stopping us. And now it's like, all right, let's get going. But we're here now. So where to start? There's so much to talk about today. I want to talk to you guys about various experiences. I want to share various experiences we've had, Lag BaOmer, Meron, and through the stories come to the ideas of what does it mean to connect? Why do we go to Reb Shimon? And through there, what do we accomplish? What do we hope to accomplish? What have we accomplished? Maybe I think the greater part of that we don't know, but definitely there's a lot of things that we do know. And so I'll start straight off, jump straight in. One of the most formative experiences of my life happened to me by Rabbi Shimon on Lag BaOmer. So years ago, I think since I first came to Israel in 99, I was there almost every year. I missed 1 year because I was so sick that I got in the car with the people and I thought I was going to throw up, and they had to dump me off, and I ended up sitting on my stoop for like an hour and a half afterwards, unable to move. I could not go. But one of my most formative experiences, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. I apologize. Back to my story. Let's refocus. One of my most formative.
I love your rambling. I hope other people do as well, but Gewalt.
I hope so too. But you know what? I hope people like this podcast, but if they don't, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So
yeah.
I went up to Meron on Erev Lag BaOmer with Chesky Stern, our dear friend. We set up our tent in the woods, and then as the sun was setting over Mount Meron, we made our way up as the holy day was coming in. This is the first time I'd been there as Lag BaOmer is coming in. And the sun's setting, it's twilight, and people, it's getting crazy. The energy is building up. It's not Lag BaOmer yet. So it's like this expectant sense in the air of like something crazy is about to happen. The storm is about to explode. And I come up to near the chevra area. I daven mincha with some minyan on the side. And then I start going in. That doorway right behind you, that little arch, it's perfect. And I go in there, and for some reason, I didn't go all the way in. I just stopped right there. Right behind Yehuda's left ear, there's like a little nook on the side. And I wedged myself in that nook, and I turned around to face the people coming in. Thousands of people are coming in. They're coming in that gate to go into Rabbi Shimon as Lag BaOmer is starting, right? It's like Shkia time. And I'm just watching people's faces come in. Every face there's like excitement, anticipation. There's something like elevated on all the faces, and every kind of face you could imagine. I'm talking every shade of skin from light to dark, every type of face, every type of Jew, every kind of dress, all different. And they're all coming in this holy expectation, like this, I'm coming to connect. I'm coming to daven. I'm coming into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. I'm watching 1,000 Aaron coins on Yom Kippur going into the Kodesh HaKadoshim with these face. And I just stood there watching these people and catching eye contact with as many as I could. I don't even know why I did this. Maybe I learned something about it. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just catching their eyes. And when they look at me, just giving them the biggest smile. And every person that came in, I just felt higher and higher. I felt so good. I felt so connected to the Jewish people, the masses of the Jewish people, every kind of person. And I just sat there watching them come in and thinking, wow, what a holy people, what a holy God, what a holy tzaddik, what a blessing it is to be here. And I feel so connected to all these. And I was just given love and good energy and getting it back. The feeling is indescribable. I can only tell you what happened, but how I actually felt is indescribable. And it was at that time that I first felt an incredible connection on a level I'd never had before to the Jewish people.
Wow. Wow. I think Rabbi Nachman was the one who said that if you want to see the face of the tzaddik, you look at the face of the people that come to the kibbutz.
Yeah.
Look at all the faces.
I definitely learned that Torah later on. I don't think at that point I knew that Torah. And it just happened. I don't even know why I did this. It just happened. And I feel like it's super connected to the midah of the day, which is the midah of Hod.
Yeah.
In the sense that Hod is, I guess maybe you'll give us a little rundown, but to me, one of the major aspects of Hod is giving space to others, is learning how to give space to another in order to be able to connect with them. And so often we don't give space to others. We automatically box. We see somebody, we automatically box them. We automatically categorize them, and we make determinations about them. We all do this, and we need to do this to survive, because we have to be able to understand the world around us on a basic level so that we can react. We need to be able to recognize danger. We need to be able to recognize good things as well, so we can take those good things and survive. But we also need to learn how to connect on a deeper level, and that's like on a very intellectual level. We need to connect on a deeper level. We need to be able to see past the surface and recognize the bonds that are not so readily visible. And so often we don't do that, and we end up creating the separations in our mind. And Hod is about giving someone else the space to be that person, to let them express themselves. I remember saying once to a friend, like, a good friend is someone who gives you the space to really be yourself. And if we want to be chaverim kol Yisrael, we have to learn how to give space, not just to people that we know and love, but to people that we don't know and love yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, this is Mamish. Hod is the midah of Aaron HaKohen. And that was definitely Aaron HaKohen. He's the master of Hod, who's able to enter into the space that doesn't take up space in the holiest of times. And he goes into the Kodesh HaKodashim, right, which is the place that there is no space. It's space that doesn't take up space. He's able to be there for you and make all the space in the world for you, but he's not actually taking up any of your space. He actually makes more space for you. And in that place, he's not davening for any holy spiritual things. He's davening for the simple care for every single Jew. That's mamash the tefillah in the Kodesh Kodashim, is just make space. Let the Jews on the most simple level be connected. And I think, this really is the inyan of tzaddik or tzaddikim or things like that. Baal Shem Tov says, I think it's in 320 in Kesser Shem Tov, or in the 320s. One of the things he says over there about the tzaddik is that the tzaddik is the soul of all Klal Yisrael. So Gewalt, like if the Jews are sinning, the tzaddik's sinning. If the Jews are connecting, the tzaddik's, like, it's not like he's a separate thing. He is that. And I think that's really like what happens when we go to the tzaddik. We are able to really be ourselves. We're aligned in a way, we're connected in a way that you can't even explain any other time, but really being aligned with your inner self, because the tzaddik sees you for you, and therefore when he perceives you that way, and you're connected to your shoresh neshama, and you're connected to your true self, your true alignment, it enables you to be in a state of being that's really you, and therefore other people can see you as you, not as some false representation of something that you're trying to be, but actually just as you really are. And but I don't even know if this is the kind of thing that I understood or understand, but it's the kind of thing that for me over the years, from the first time that I went there, which was as a teenager, before I even came to yeshiva, I must have been like 16, and I flew to Israel just for Lag BaOmer. I have no idea why. I heard about it. I was like attracted to it. I was like, okay, I want to go to Israel. and I just flew in just for Lag BaOmer. And being by Reb Shimon was just, I don't know. It was just something that I liked. I felt good. I felt like I want to be there. When I came back for yeshiva, I went up. I went up with a bunch of guys. We went up a few days earlier. We just camped out for almost a week, just being by Reb Shimon. And why? It's just because the energy attracts you. You want to be there. There's a feeling of alignment that I can't explain. And I don't know if we need to. And I think that we can, whatever we want to talk about it afterwards, on the most basic level, there's just a major attraction. Our good friend, Menachem Engel from Tzfat, he shared this beautiful piece. That there were these two Rebbes that were sitting outside by Reb Shimon's cave, in Meron. And one of them, I have it over here, one of them was the Imre Chaim, and the other one was the Rebbe from Seret Vizhnitz. And Gevalt, they're just sitting there the whole night. They're just quiet. And people are just going in and out and in and out. And finally, as it comes morning, the Imre Chaim turns to his brother and says, you see what Emunah Pshuta is? Gevalt, these people, they don't understand why they're coming. They don't understand what the connection is to be by Reb Shimon, but we just come. All of us just flock there, and we just want to be there because you want to be by Reb Shimon on the day of his simcha, on the day of that, of, I don't know, what's the lashon of Yom Chasanasai. This is his day, and we just want to be alive with him. We want to be connected to his incredible, incredible energy. And it's the biggest gathering of Jews that I've ever been to. In one place. I mean, if you stay there for 24 hours, you can literally see, 750,000 people, which is wild. Jews that are just coming, they come in, and there's all sorts of avodas that are going on there. There are some people, there were some years that I was there and I didn't even go into any building structures. I was just outside for 3 days, just there. And there are some times that you're there, and sometimes you're like lifnai lifnim, and there's a whole avodah going on in there. And then sometimes the highest place you could be is just on the bus trying to get to Meron. It's a wild thing, and the whole nasiya to the tzaddik is so amazing. But it's this whole experience of being with the tzaddik, of in a way almost being the tzaddik, connecting with the Jews. It's a really wild experience that on the most basic level for me, it's just good.
So I want to break it down. I want to talk about all the different aspects of the avodah. Like you said, there's the davening inside, there's the dancing outside, there's the just hanging with Yidden, the schmoozing with the Yidden, there's eating, which is a major avodah in Meron and Lag BaOmer. There's drinking, serving. There's so many different avodas. I want to break them down, and I want to. I feel like through our experiences, we can sometimes you can tell so much more by a story, and then we can get into the ideas of what was going on. So, Abe,
before we jump in, I just want to share a story that I saw from Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg, which was mamish amazing. He says that. I'm going to just look at my paper here because I don't remember. It's really about the names, not that it's so important. But he says that Rav Yitzchak David Grossman from Migdal HaEmek got a call from a kibbutz nearby from a guy who's not necessarily, whatever his connection with the Eibishter is. He had a son. He calls him up. He tells him, listen, I have my son who's engaged to a non-Jewish woman. And he's like, it can't be. I can't have him marrying out of the fold. He's like, you got to help me. So he tells him, look, let me talk to your son, whatever. He meets his son, and nothing doing. So the guy tells him, look, you got to do something to help me out here. So he says, let me take him over, and he'll talk to the Rebbe, to the Lelver Rebbe. So this young man goes and he meets with the Lelver Rebbe, and he has a meeting for 2.5 hours. He comes home, and the father says, no, did he convince you not to get married to this girl? So the young man says to him, it says to his father, we didn't even talk about it. nothing, you know? He's like, what do you mean? You spoke to him for 2.5 hours and you didn't say, oh, like it never came up? He says, no, that wasn't part of the discussion. So the guy right away runs and he calls back with Grossman and he's like, I don't understand. You told me that you're taking him to the Rebbe and he's going to help me out and whatever. So right away, Rav Grossman gets off the phone with this guy, he calls the Rebbe and he asks the Rebbe, he says, what happened? So the Rebbe says, did this young man say that he had a good conversation with me? He said, yeah, he had a great conversation, but like you didn't do anything about this. So the Rebbe said, if he fell in love with me, he's going to fall out of love with this woman. And, a little bit later, this guy, that's actually what happened. They broke up their engagement and whatever. So Rav Ginsburg was saying that when we fall in love with the tzaddik, it essentially eliminates a lot of the klippas that are in our life. And it could be that there's he was making that connection about Rabbi Shimon. We all know Rabbi Shimon is the deepest. And when you talk about Hoid Shebahod, this is for sure an aspect of that. When we go there, I can also say that I can't really, I don't know what the connection is. When I was in yeshiva in Israel, so I went every year and also camped out, and it was a much smaller situation. Back then, like there was, a few areas of hadlaka and bonfires, and then there was the areas for people cutting the hair, and then there were those areas where they were doing shechita right on the side there. It was like some of those spaces where they're doing now, having huge bonfires and thousands of people dancing. It's pretty wild. So that was like the early days. Then later on, like I started coming, many years with different chevra to connect to the tzaddik. And every time it's just, again, like you can't really explain what that connection is, but there's definitely, like Yaakov was saying, like Yehuda, you were saying that the connection with other people, everybody that's there wants to be there. When you have also like a connection of Jews and a gathering, a kibbutz is like the most powerful thing. I can say that for myself, like the three, I would say, top connections that I've had with Yidden has been, Rabbi Shimon, Uman, Rosh Hashanah, which I finally got to go a few years ago, and it's been like really amazing. And other than this year, but the last bunch of years, I've been going to the Kinnis HaShluchim, which is like 6,000 people at a full sit-down Suda, and it's just massive. But there's something extremely special. Baba Sali. What?
Baba Sali and Nitivot, man. It's another level kibbutz also.
Yeah. What is that, the beginning of Nisan?
Or Adar, I don't remember. It's at the end. It's at the end of the winter every year. I don't remember exactly his yahrzeit, but it's amazing. It's also a wild gathering as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about like the things that I've connected to over the years. There have been many times where I've gone and just tripped out with myself or with like one or two other guys. Even with the chevra that I've gone with over the years, like many times we'll separate and, you just want to find like a little spot. Now it's very, very hard to get inside any of the buildings. I feel extremely claustrophobic. However, finding a spot outside, just like a piece of the wall where you can mamish, like I have, I usually travel with like many different things that I have a plan of saying this and sharing that. And many times, like you were saying, you could stand there and just greet people. Like I remember a few years ago, I stood at one of the spots inside with Shmili, and we just greeted people coming in. And it was like people kind of get a little bit like thrown off. Like they're busy with whatever their avodah is. There's like, it's almost like an ant farm, like the way people are just walking along, you're watching people. There's just like trails of people, but when you stop there, you stop people and you're like, you smile at them and you're like, hey, how you doing? People just like stop and they look and they're like, and they just get that fantastic smile because they are just connected to Rabbi Shimon. I don't know what it is, but there's a connection that you're making with them on the deepest level. And we'll get into some of the stories that we've had personally together, which have been fire, absolute fire.
It seems like the first avoda that we're all touching on is the avoda of connecting, right? So if you remember, you guys remember a couple of years ago when we went to Chatzor?
Yeah.
And right, we ended up, how did we get there? Remind me. We took a car to Chatzor?
We had a car, and we couldn't find parking. They kept pushing us farther and farther away.
I think it's also an important element to just point out how important the Nesiya, like it's even brought down from the Tzaddikim that I saw from the Bnei Yissaschar that the Nesiya to the Tzaddik doesn't end until you step back through the threshold of your house. So you're mamish with the Tzaddik the moment that you begin the Nesiya to the moment you get back. I know when I go to Uman, it's like I'll be stressed. But like the moment I step out of my house into the car to the airport, I'm already like with Rabbi Nachman. Like it's a zone. You're on the Nesiya. The whole thing is just
you're on the trip, man.
Exactly.
That's it. You're tripping now.
The thing is just even when you step out of the house to go to Reb Shimon, like, and I hope that maybe right now this could be our step out. And anybody who's with us, guys, right now we're stepping into Reb Shimon. For the next 3-4 days, we're tripping with Reb Shimon because Gewalt, the only tripping we're doing is in our houses or mildly out of the house, but Gewalt. And that's what it is. So basically, let's bring it back because that trip was amazing. We were in a car with a bunch of people, right? It was just us three, or we were with other people.
Was that the time we picked up Abe from the airport? It may have been that time, and we drove up, and we couldn't find. I don't know if it was that time. Anyway, we couldn't find parking because they kept on shunting us. It was with Chesky. Was it with Chesky? Okay. Anyway, regardless, it was definitely the three of us.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Chesky was there. So they kept on shunting us off. We were trying to get to Tzfat, and like, nope, the cops are just further. We drove all the way around past Tzfat, up north till Chatzor. Like, okay, you have to get off at Chatzor. That's the nearest place, and you'll get the shuttle buses. But because it was so far away, it was really chilled over there. And we ended up, there's a chevra tzaddik there, right? Choni Ha'ma'agal, right? Choni Ha'ma'agal.
Also, we were there in the middle of the night. It's the sweetest, quietest, beautiful hour.
And there was a mikvah there.
Yeah.
So we hit up that mikvah. Remember, that was so nice. Like when you're going to a tzaddik, you want to hit a mikvah. You want to just get as holy as you can. You want to get as high as you can on the way. You want to just get yourself ready. Another level. So hitting that mikvah was like, it was a treat. It was like a little gift from Hashem. Like Hashem's like, I sent you all the way here. You're going to go to Choni Ha'ma'agal, who's incredible tzaddik with the wildest stories. You're going to have a mikvah, and then you're going to be ready to go. So what happened? We did the mikvah, we did the whole avoda there, and we got on the bus from Chatzor to Meron. And I remember, you guys also chime in, but I remember we had this, we're like, let's get in a mindset. I think Yehuda, maybe you did a meditation, and we started thinking about how we're going to open up to everybody. And we're going to look around other Yidden, because we're coming to, I don't remember why we said this, but
because Reb Shimon's height of height, we were talking about
look around everyone, and we're going to see everyone is perfect. We're going to, they are.
Yaakov, you're breaking up.
So we looked around and we quieted down. We're standing in the middle of this crowded. That's right. It's too holy. Forget it. I can't talk about it. You hear me?
Yeah, I think you're back.
Hello?
Now. Yeah, you're back now.
Are we back?
Awesome. Yeah, so we got on the bus.
So we're standing there in the middle of this bus. We're standing in the middle of a crowded bus. And we're like, okay, we're going to focus. We're going to look around. We're going to look at people. And instead of judging, instead of determining what or who they are, we're going to look at them and say, you are good. You are perfect exactly as you are. You're going to look at a person and go, whoever, whatever you are, you're good. You're essentially good. And we give you the space to be you. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to think like me. You don't have to act like me or talk like me. However you are is perfect. And we all went into the zone and we looked around at all the people on the bus and we opened up. I know I felt so open to every. I could have I could have hugged every person on the bus. I was like, everyone here is perfect. And even, I don't remember anyone annoying me on that bus ride. Oh, and then we went to Meron.
Well, I think we
Jump
made a
in,
little
Julia.
challenge. I think we made a little challenge to ourselves, like how many people we can get to smile, if I remember correctly. Like we wanted to get them
Right.
to like feel the energy and look back at us and then just like break out.
Right. That's what we did when we got to Meron. We said,
We
we're gonna,
gamified it.
yeah, we made it a game and we started doing missions, right? Everyone came up with a different mission. What was your mission?
If you recall, when we were on our way up, part of our discussion was we were trying to, you know, how many times when you're in like a serious, crowded situation, like with throngs of people, like people walk into you and they bounce you and you're like, you can get crazy with these things. So the conversation was just that, hey, we have to like, let's try to create a like a force field essentially, or like just of positive energy, so that anyone that like even looks at us will smile.
Right.
And as we went in, remember we were like picking out people, even on the bus. Like we did a little meditation in the middle of the bus, surrounded by tons of people, and then we like would pick out people. Hey, that guy. And we would just like focus on him and smile and just radiate good energy. And people would like look at us and smile and not sure like why.
Because they
why are
see three
smiling at
grinning
us?
fools looking at them.
It was really amazing. Then it continued inside. Like we had, I mean, there are follow-up situations that went on inside, but we were doing this, you know.
But it got crazy when we got to Meron, because there was a lot of other, we had a lot of family in Meron that year that we were meeting up with. Remember, it was a lot of chevra. There was Weinsteins and Raices. There was Akiva was there. Probably Izzy. Yitzi was there that year. There was another
Ellie.
one of our brothers. Was it Chaim or Benzi? Because there was 2 different years. One year Chaim was there. One year Benzi was there, separate. I can't remember. It all melds together in one big story in my head.
Yeah.
But definitely that night I remember was like, we're gonna make as many people smile at us as possible. We're gonna give good energy to as many people as we can. We were hugging people. We were spreading good cheer, and it was a crazy vibe. Everywhere we went, you saw people responding to one of us, one or the other. Like we were lighting up souls one after the next. And I'm not exaggerating here. This was really happening. And then the craziest thing, we finally made our way all the way up the mountain, and we got around to the back of the Tzion, where there was a mitcham. There was one of those areas where there was going to be hadlaka and dancing. And when we got there, and so all of our family there was like 10 of us. I remember a lot. Maybe Ellie was there. I can't remember who was there, but I know there was a minion of our family, and then there were more people. There were friends of ours. So we had a whole crew in the middle of this dance floor, right? And,
Squished dance floor.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the dance floor. It was still like before the music was starting. We were waiting for the hadlaka to happen, and it was like energy. So we're all schmoozing there, and then the music did start, and then there's cops everywhere, right? So first of all, we were hitting up the cops also. We were giving good energy to cops and smiling and thanking them and getting them in our zone. Abe, you were hugging cops, if I remember. Am I remember correctly? I remember you hugging at least one cop. And anyway, there's this one fella suddenly we see near us. There's this one of these magavnikim, big guy, and there's some Israeli dude getting in an argument with him. And the cop, just no rachmanis, just shoves him into the dancing crazy crowd. And the guy gets up and he's back in his face. And we're looking at this going, this is not good. Like, this guy is going to get stomped, or like, this is not healthy. So our whole crew, like our 10, 12 people, remember we danced over to him, kind of like a white blood cell. We enveloped him in our crew and we danced him away from the cop. And the guy's like shoving at us, trying to get at the cop. And we just danced him away. Like a white blood cell will go in just surround the virus and like suck it away. That's what we did. It was so cool. And we didn't really talk to each other. It was too loud. Somehow we managed to communicate like, this is happening. We just went over in like a hive mind, just sucked them away. And then he got back again, and we did it again. And the next time we didn't let him come back. We just kind of danced them away from the cop.
And the cop wanted to get him also. It was like they were going to throw him out.
Right.
It was just love.
That experience is one of those places I go back to when I want to draw down, when I want to go into a certain place, right? We have memory banks, and we can use our memories to put ourselves in certain states of mind or states of emotion. Everyone has their own. For some people, it's a quiet place, the beach, or for some people, it's a simcha or whatever it is. For me, this is one of those places that I draw on to think of openness and connection, of love for other Jews, of love for my family, because that it was an incredible family experience. How we were all together and we did this and we did this loving thing because we loved this guy. It was literally like a giant hug. It was like 12 people hugging, and he wasn't so happy about it.
I think he came around.
Yeah, he did. He did come around, and we did what had to be done, you know. And he's surrounded by a bunch of guys. We're all smiling, and he's like freaking out. It was awesome.
I think it's really important to point out that like in these situations, many times, I know for me, it's way more than just like you and I and us doing this avodah. It's like there's like a tzaddik takeover experience happening. Meaning, when you enter into this place, it's not like, you know, it's a different avodah than if you're just like walking down the street and smiling at people, which is a beautiful avodah. But here, there's a first of all, everybody who's coming to this place is all coming to be connected to the tzaddik. Just that kavana already, and even if you're not having the kavana consciously, but you're coming here, right? You're coming to be by Rabbi Shimon. That consciousness just creates this one thread. And now being by the tzaddik is really ma'ached everybody. It makes this incredible oneness that you're experiencing. And so therefore, as like we said before, as you're beginning to connect with people, you're connecting with it. You really do feel like this one large organism, you know, like all the people squished together, like you get, you know, Abe mentioned before, you know, this, and like there's just streams of people moving, and you have to, like, to be able to get anywhere that you want to go, you have to like join the greater organism to be able, and then like, you know, hop on this train that's like cutting through the crowd this way, and then you hop off that one and cut on to the next one, and like you slowly work your way to any place that, but like you're part of this whole experience. And the truth is that you see in a second, like even though people are in their own little mindset, you know, maybe a guy's like, yo, I gotta daven down here and there's a refuah shleima for this person, you know, but then as soon as like they get that moment of just like somebody's looking at them and smiling, they're just suddenly like, yeah, you know what's up, I know what's up, we know what's up, we're by the tzaddik, you know, like, and you just see it, and it just pops people out of it in like in a second, and and it takes people out from this place of like, it's just me coming here to the tzaddik because I want to be here, to suddenly us, and that us experience is really incredible. It's really incredible.
Even the way you move through the crowd, like there are people who are just unconscious, and for them it's like, I need to get from point A to point B, and they'll use whatever it takes, elbows, knees, you know, they got to get through. But there's another way of getting through where you're not really going through people. You're connecting to every person on the way. It's like when you roll through the crowd and it's smashed. You want to get through it. You know, this is not by the dance floor. You want to get through, and everyone's. So you go to the next person. You put a hand on the shoulder. They notice you. You just smile and you slip through instead of like ramming through. You slip through, and with a smile to this guy, and then the next guy you smile. It's just one after the next. You just smile at every person, and they give you space to go through, because suddenly there's some dude who's grinning at them and beaming and giving good energy, and they just like, whoa, yeah, hey man, good to see you too. One after the next, and then you run into a friend like you didn't even see because it was a crowd, and then suddenly there's someone that you love there, and you're like, whoa, what's up? And big hug, big energy explosion, you know? And then a second, a third. Suddenly you're like with 5 friends, and you all grinning like fools.
It's true.
Like you said, yeah.
When you're moving through the crowd, because there's so much, you know, so little social distancing and everybody's touching that, and especially for somebody like me, like I'm a hug guy. We are all hug people, touch people. Like I love communicating through touch. And but many times, like with random strangers, you're not touching people. But here, when you put your hand, like even when you're dancing and there's like a train, the way you put your hand on their shoulder can express like worlds of difference. And many times, like, you know, there's just like my hands on your shoulder because that's what I'm doing. But then when you put it on, like, I know that you always get the guy just turns around, like he's like, it's like it suddenly feels like the hand on the shoulder is like a friend, like a brother, and he turns around and he's like,
Exactly.
you know, and that these little things, it's not even more than just a moment. And by the way, not everybody responds the best way. Like sometimes you bump into people, and sometimes you have to, you know, also just like, you know, put an arm up and get that gevura in there as well, you know, to be able to to hold your ground. But there's so many interactions, and it becomes this whole wild experience. Gewalt.
Yo, can I digress a minute, because you mentioned something that I've been thinking about this whole Shabbos. I went out to daven. I went out actually to a simcha on this Shabbos, and everyone's withholding it. You go and meet somebody, you see people that you know, and you want to touch them. You want to, whether it's a hug, a handshake, a high five, whatever it is. We have a need to touch, to connect. And I was just wondering, what is this need? What is that? Why is it so necessary? Why do we feel so? Is it just societal? We're used to shaking hands, or that more likely something deeper? I don't have an answer for this, but the tension was bothering me.
Yeah.
Think for yourselves.
Yeah. I want to say, you know, those times where I've gone inside, right? Most times when you're there by Rabbi Shimon, you want to get inside as close as possible. Just have that desire, and you have to jump on. And sometimes, like you literally you don't even have to walk. Like if it's so tight, like there have been times where I'm just like holding my sefer, whatever I'm my tefillah that I'm davening is, and I'm literally just in my own zone, and I don't remember walking through because I don't think I moved my feet. I think I just kind of like flowed through with the people, as it's like, you know, you're just like hanging on. Okay, I'm in, you know, and like there's no air, but you just like, there's no air, but there's air. There's like a freshness inside of you. There's that connection, you know, it's something else. But I also like when you're talking about putting your hand on somebody else's shoulder, there's a way when you put your hand on and you're giving energy where you're conscious of it, you're conscious of your hand being on somebody else. Those are the times that they turn around, because you're putting off that energy. It's not that you're just part of a larger program. You're like, you are expressing your energy to both the person in front of you and the person behind you. It can come across with your smile. It can come across with your touch. I mean, it's muy important.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. As we were talking, I was looking at the gate, the archway behind me, the Ir V'Kadesh Min Shemaya Nachis, right, which is the letters Rabbi Shimon, and Kilesi Shachach Mi Pizare, which is the letters Yochai. And I was just hit by it, like, you know, Ir V'Kadesh Min Shemaya Nachis, like this awareness and sanctity has descended from heaven. Like that's Reb Shimon, you know, this incredible consciousness, right? The Baal Shem Tov says the difference between Galus and Geula is remembering and forgetting, right? Being aware. And that's mamish really like, that's what Kilesi Shachach Mi Pizare, won't be forgotten, because of this awareness that comes from the tzaddik, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, that with this Zohar, with his energy, with this shine, with this glow, it opens up this whole reality. And that's really what's happening there, is that people are just in a state of awareness. Now, obviously, even within, and even being by Reb Shimon, you could still be in a state of gullus. You know, that you always can, you know, you always still have bechira on your own pratius level, but the experience, it definitely is one of opening up a deep awareness, a deep consciousness, a deep tuning in for people to really to really get into that awareness, and that just like, I don't need to know with my mind. I don't need to understand it. I don't need to. It just is. It's just the reality of what it is. And I think that's mamish, like, this is where we're at. Yer v'kadish min shemayim achis. This awareness. This is opened up, and we gotta open up to it. And it really is this incredible magnet, like you said, Abe, like being able to just be sucked in to the, elakdusha. Everybody's just whoosh, sucked in, and everybody's just crying out and davening to Hashem. And you see people, some people are just crying to Hashem, and some people are begging from Hashem, and some people are singing to Hashem, and some people are thanking Hashem. But it's just there's, Rakshi Chavanis Liba L'Shamayim. And that's really what it is. It's this incredible, incredible focus.
And that's what you're saying. Kiloti shakach mi pizarro. You won't be in the state of forgetfulness. Rabbi Shimon awakens us and helps us remember who we are, what we are. Lo tishakach mi pizarro. We won't be forgetful. We come to Rabbi Shimon. We're remembering who we really are and who we want to be.
Yeah. I will say also, you mentioned that there's different avodas that are going on there. I think that this idea of connecting to people, sometimes even just looking at people, but I also feel that like specifically in connecting to people are like the conversations. I know every time that when I'm there, it's a big focus for me to make sure that I sit with the chevra and we just talk about, many times it's by Sender Breyer's place. Abe, we've had some crazy conversations. We remember that was, I think, where I met Rabbi Haas. Yeah, so that's we met there for the first time, I think. Also, it was by Rabbi Nachman, be good friend. Now we learned together, and just so many chevra. You sit by Rabbi Shimon, whether it's like you're up on top or Rabbi Yochanan. Who's up over there? Rabbi Yochanan
Sandler.
And or you go down, but you sit by Sender Breyer's place and you're munching on some food and you're schmoozing with a friend, or you're just like standing on the side by somebody's tent. Like these conversations, the connections that you're having with people, they take on a new meaning. They're within this concept that we know the Baal Shem Tov says, that this channel that you're connecting to Hashem through. You're always connecting through different channels, and every moment in time and every experience that you're having is a different connection. And when you're by the tzaddik, you're traveling along this highway, this connection. And many times the conversations that you're having and the concepts that you're talking about and the way that sometimes something will come into your mouth and just it will come out and you'll be like, whoa, what was that? And sometimes the conversations even could be with random people. Like you never met this guy before, and suddenly you're just having this like tzaddik conversation, and you're both, or sometimes somebody will say something to you and you'll just be like, what? Where did that just come from? Like it was just, mind blowing, and it just changed the whole energy. And it like, and many times these conversations can sometimes be like 30 seconds, or they can be a few hours long, where you're really connecting. You're really, and it's like many times through these simpler avodas. Obviously, and we'll talk a little bit, about what it means to daven and to be there. And I know I always like to go and I always like to, say some tehillim, daven at Tikkun Klali, talk to Hashem, do a little, spotted us one-on-one conversation. But many times it's connecting to the chevra that is this, it's where a lot of the things like seep in and like the alignments click in. You almost feel things going like, maybe it's like you're playing a game of Tetris and there's been lots of weird holes and you're kind of messed up and you're never going to be able to get it back. And you're like, all of my life issues and my holes and my chesronot, they've gotten up to here and I'm about to go under and I'm not going to be able to bail out. And suddenly, like magically, like the walls just go and like everything gets like lined back up. And you're like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm all right. I'm going to make it through. Like, I'm not perfect. I got my issues, but I'm gonna make it through this game. And it's just this weird energy feeling for me. Yeah, mamash gewalt.
So we talked a lot about connecting with other Yidden. I feel like we need to get to what seems to many to be the main thing of the day. It's a question: what is the main thing of the day at Lag Bomer? Some will tell you that it's davening inside, like you got to get to the kever, or you got to get somewhere where you could daven. And that's the whole point of going to Meron, right? To connect with Rabbi Shimon, to daven. What do? Daven by a kever of a tzaddik. And we all know the old saying that Meron, Lag Bomer Meron, is Yom Kippur on the inside and Purim on the outside.
Yeah.
Which one's more important, Yom Kippur or Purim? I don't know.
Well, that's a good question, but it's called Yom Kippurim.
Right. So on the deeper level, Purim's a higher day. On the other hand, if you don't hear the Megillah on Purim, you're not getting kares. If you eat on Yom Kippur, you're getting kares. So there's in some ways this one's more important, in some ways that. But that's the same thing. Meron Lag Bomer. Like I remember reading somewhere that Arizal, like his main tikkun when he went to Meron Lag Bomer was making a suda. Sit down, make brachas, and eat. Why? I don't know. That was, Kabbalistically, that was the highest thing to do. And we do that also. It's so important. Like you go to Meron, and one of the most striking things that it hits you when you come there, especially if you're not used to it, it's like you come, get off the bus, and then all of a sudden there's just people giving you drinks and giving you food and just free food everywhere. So much food. Make a bracha, take drinks. The chayarotel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? It's an Indian to give out chayarotel, 18 rotel of drinks. So everyone's giving you drinks. I always said that if I have a girl and she's born around Lag Bomer, I'm going to name her chayarotel. Thank God I didn't.
Yeah. I think
every year.
No, hit it, Abe.
Go ahead. I was going to say, every year that we're there, we try to make sure to get to a certain area. There's like all these different tents where you can give out. You give them a little donation, and you can give out. Even if you're not giving a donation, you could, if you have like a connection, I guess, between some of the chevra that I've had, that I've gone with over the years, we end up with, getting inside one of these little rooms where they're giving out like kugel and drinks and whatever. And it's a huge thing to give out. So make brachas over there. I think it was, now I'm not there this year. Last year, we didn't make it. We had a wedding. And so I guess it's 2 years ago that I sat for 3-4 hours. We just were buying cases of water and giving out water. Like random people walking by, you're just giving them cold water. And people it gets hot. It's hot, it's stuffy. And there are tents all over the place to get food. But when you're sitting right outside the Tzion and you're giving water, we probably gave out I don't even know how many. I can't, but just water. And people are like, oh, wow, thank you. They think that they're like, oh, you're trying to take money? I'm like, no. This is just straight up, And look, we were getting it from inside the tent, but paying for it where somebody already paid for that. It was already free. We were just paying for the opportunity to move it outside the tent to give it to them right outside. It was amazing. We've had a lot of different experiences. I remember one year, Yaakov, we were sitting before Nate's for an hour or two, just learning little pieces from Rabbi Shimon, pieces like stories, and little tarlach, little pieces of the Zara. I think those are the key. There are, for some people, you go there's a set story of what you're going to do. I think every year I have some kind of idea. This is what I want to do. This is who I'm davening for. This is what I'm davening for, and you go and you set things up. So the last time we were there 2 years ago, we had a Suda in Tzfat, a massive Suda. And then we rolled into, remember that year that we were going to shech the lamb?
Yes. That was really funny.
Not gonna, we did. We shechted it, but it was not kosher or whatever.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I don't think I was with you guys. I don't remember this at all, but I have notoriously bad memory.
I'm having a hard time. It's funny that we're sitting here discussing like, what's the Indian of the day? The Indian of the day is one aspect, and what goes on when you go there, it's like, you can have a plan, but when you go to a tzaddik, the plan that you should have is that I'm connecting to the tzaddik, and whatever's going on, I'm good. I'm smile, and everything's going to be great. If you think that if you go with too much of a plan, that you're being rigid about it, you better hope that you run into the Raice brothers.
It's
true.
I'll tell you.
You have to let go and let go and let God. Like, and Hashem is going to take care of you through His faithful messengers. He's going to take care of you, and you got to just go with what it is. I'm sorry. I've had crazy experiences going to Rabbi Shimon that I had no idea what was going to happen, and it all worked out. I'll tell you a crazy story. You guys definitely heard the story, but hey, the Iker is Chazara, right? Rabbi is saying the Iker is Chazara. So one year we had a family bar mitzvah gathering up in some kibbutz. Our cousin Jordan came in and made a bar mitzvah. It was awesome Shabbos. The problem was I was sick as a dog. Motzei Shabbos was Lag Bomer. We're at this kibbutz, which is halfway to Meron from here, or more than halfway. It's already close. But I was so sick. The whole Shabbos, I could barely sleep, even though it was a nice, comfortable hotel bed. I couldn't sleep. And I was taking pills and I dragged myself out to the meal to eat a little something to show my face. Terrible. Couldn't sleep the whole Shabbos. Waking up with the, Motzei Shabbos, Akiva, our brother-in-law, a dear brother-in-law, comes over to me. He's like, Yaakov, we're going to Meron. And I was like, I'm so sick, man. I'm exhausted. I'm ill. I can't do this. He just looks at me and goes, what? We're this close to Meron. You're not going to go? Get in the car. So they pack me in the car. Shani gives me a pillow and a blanket and water and pills and like all my gear that you need for a sick person. And I sit down in the car next to Akiva in the back, Jelly and Izzy. And we go all the way to one of those parking lots. We get to the parking lot, and you have to get out and take a shuttle bus from the parking lot to me. Now, the parking lot's it's just a field that's everything's smashed down. And you go and park in it. There's a lot of things happen over there. Like, we got out, and Akiva and Izzy got eaten by these giant ants. This is not even part of the story. It's just an aside. Because that's not the point I want to tell you. But this is what happened. We get out of the car. It's dark. Because you're in the back of some field. They put their giant backpacks down on the ground for a minute to just adjust and to repack the stuff, put it back on, and the next thing I hear Akiva screaming, ow, ow, ow. We go into the nearest spotlight, street light that they set up, and he's covered in gigantic ants everywhere. His whole body's ripping his clothing off, and I'm pulling ants off his skin, out of his beard, off his backpack, like big ants that are biting him. And Izzy starts screaming also because he's also getting bitten. It was crazy. These guys are just finally we recovered from this. It was a crazy experience. We recover from the ant biting. And I'm really sick. We get over to the buses and there's just a crowd of people that are just jamming into every bus that pulls up. You know how it is? Like, there's no lines. There's no order. It's just, I need to be in Meron now. Smash. If I don't do this, I'm not getting on that bus. And I just looked at Akiva. I cannot do this. I physically don't have the strength to shove my way onto a bus. And, there was no other option. That's the only option. You want to get to Meron, you got to push a little. You wait till the next bus. There's going to be another 1,000 people waiting for the bus. So Akiva's like, you want to walk? How long is the walk? I don't know, maybe an hour from where we were. So fine. I was like, I can walk. We have to get there, and we're definitely not getting on the bus. So we have to get to Meron. So I'm already feeling a little bit better. Maybe the medicine kicked in, and it's a gorgeous night. It's the clean mountain air up in the in the Galil, and we start walking in there. But because the road is closed down, it's pitch black and it's quiet, beautiful, middle of the night. Late at night. It was in the middle of the night. It must have been after 12 at this point. By the time we got out, Motzei Shabbos and the whole story, it must be after 12 at this point. And we're walking, and occasionally there's a bus that rolls by, on the way back or on the way forth. But other than that, it's quiet and peaceful. And we're walking and we're joking and we're enjoying ourselves. And it was about 45 minutes on this windy mountain road till we finally get to the outskirts of Meron. And I'm feeling really a lot better by this point. Like I'm feeling pretty good. The juice is flowing and we're all just in good energy. And you finally come to the bottom of the mountain and there's a table there with, overloaded with food. And they gave us chocolate milk and I remember just chocolate milk and those packaged muffins, but like mamash machaya nefesh. We eat, we drink, and we truck up the mountain. And at that point on the left side, when you come up the mountain on the left side, we go down to the left a little bit, and Roots and Batsheva and some chevra, they had a bonfire, they had a spot. I just rolled straight up to their spot. They had there was a sleeping bag on the ground. I just lay down on the sleeping bag next to the fire and went to sleep on the ground, slept like a baby for 2 hours. I woke up in time for Vasikin, or was it, early enough to get up. And I'm like, I'm not going. I don't even need to go into the kever. I'm good. My sack of bones made it to Rabbi Shimon. I'm within the radius that Rizal says, Tuesday, the Rabbi Shimon ad mil, that the Rabbi Shimon's soul is so great that he could be a mile away from the kever, and your mamish, like, you're right there. I'm good to go. And I ended up, that was it. I got up, I davened Shachris, Vasikin. I was good the whole day. I remember I went on a hike with Akiva all the way up back to Kever Shammai. I was good, healed, better, done. It was awesome. I had no idea what I was doing, where I was going. Are you crazy? Like anyone sane would be like, no, Akiva, I'm sick as a dog. I don't have to go to Meron. That's just crazy. But we just went, and it happened. You just go. I don't know. What am I going to do there? How am I going to? No cheshbonus. You go to Reb Shimon. You get the energy you need. You get the thing you need. And sometimes it doesn't work out so great. There's been times that, I was annoyed and things weren't. And you run. But if you let go, sometimes you can get really, really nice presents and really, really good things.
Nice.
So that's what you were saying before, Abe. And so I feel like it's about being open. And what you were saying, Yehuda, it's about recognizing that when I'm going to connect to a tzaddik, what I'm doing is I'm saying, I trust you that your channel is bigger and better than my own. And whatever I think I want to get. It's like walking around like this. It's like the story of, I think it was the story with the Rupshitzer, where he tells over, there's a yid who came to him and he wanted X, Y, and Z, wanted a bracha for this and that. And the Rupshitzer tells him, there was a fellow who did something great in the army. I think it was the Rupshitzer. He did something valorous in the army, and they say, what do you want? What do you want your reward to be? He says, like, I want maybe you can move me to a different unit because my sergeant, he's a little bit overbearing. I say, fool, why don't you ask to be the sergeant? You want to be moved somewhere else? Like, open your mind up. We come with our things, like our little narrow views of what we think we need. But you know what? If we have faith in Hashem, we have faith in his messengers, that they're here to teach us, to open our minds up. Like, let go a little bit and let your mind be opened up. Maybe you'll go, you think you need to daven for this. When we go to tzaddikim, sometimes you just walk in, and then next thing you know, you're davening for something else you didn't even think you wanted to daven for. You didn't even know you were lacking that. You didn't even know you were lacking. I remember Mata Frank told us a crazy story. Reb Mata Frank, a little respect, slap your face. Reb Mata Frank told us a Gavaldic story that he went with a bunch of guys to Uman, a bunch of chevra. They made a whole trip during the year, and one of these guys, he wasn't into the whole scene. He was there because his friends were going, and it was a fun trip. But he didn't really know why he was there. So they went to Uman, and Reb Mata sees the guy come outside of the scene. He's like outside. He says, "No, what's going on? Why aren't you inside davening?" He said, "Yeah, I went. I said that taking a call. It's just not my scene. Like, I don't even know why I'm here." Like, so he says, "Is there nothing you want to daven about? Is there anything in your life that you need a Yeshua?" He goes, "No, my life is perfect. Everything's great. My parnos is fine. My kids are happy. Whatever. I'm not davening about. I'm all good." He says, Sir Mata tells him, he says, "Look, do me a favor. Humor me. I want you to try something. Go back into the tzin. Go over to Rabbi Nachman and go talk to him and say, Rabbi Nachman, I think my life is fine. I think everything's perfect in my life. I have no issues. But there's a yid here, Rav Mata Frank. He said I should come talk to you. He said I should ask you and say, maybe if there's something that's not good, could you let me know about it? Maybe if there's something that I don't have, maybe open me up to see what it is." Guy looks at Rav Mata. looks at him like he's crazy. He says, you know what? I'll go. Like, obviously, they're on this trip already. Obviously, I'll trust you. Fine. He goes inside. An hour later, Mata tells us he sees the guy by the tzion sobbing his eyes out. About what? The Rebbe opened him up to see that there's something more that he doesn't have yet. It's like you were in the Hastara Shabbatol Hastara. You thought everything was good. You thought you needed X, Y, and Z, and that's it. There's so much more that we don't know. And we shouldn't shut that down. And like you said, Yehuda, when you go to a tzaddik, and we go to connect to something greater than ourselves, someone who can open up and give us a bigger channel to connect to the Rabbanu Shalom, we don't even know what we need. We go and we open and let it come. Sometimes you need patch. Unfortunately, sometimes we need a little patch. Sometimes we go and like some guy steps on our foot in the dancing and he doesn't even like, he looks at you like, you got in my way. And then you're like all annoyed and how people are so rude. And you get in this whole place. Sometimes you need to have that. Sometimes you need to have that experience. Hashem is giving us an opportunity to break through and to lift up those klippas. Like, and if we're not open to it, if we go with our thing, we might not get it. But sometimes we can get the patch a little bit, and we could through that open up and be like, okay, it's not so bad, and we could open up a new place within ourselves for the people that annoy us. Maybe that's just one thing. That's just one example. Who am I to be mitzamtzem? There's so many different experiences we could have, but that's the main idea. Go and be open to the experience. Go and be open that there's so much more that we can connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So much more we could go and so much more we could do. And when we go to tzaddikim who have a bigger, more expansive view of the world than us, they give us that space to do it. We just need to be willing to accept it.
Wow. Amen, amen, v'amen. That was amazing. Mamash. Gewalt. I wanted to throw out there, listening to all of this, and I began to feel a little bit maybe sad that we're not going to be by R Shimon this year. And many of us are not going to be able to be by R Shimon this year. And I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts or advice or ideas to explore, what can I do? What can anyone do? What can any of us do to connect to R Shimon this year, even though we're not going to be able to be doing a lot of the normal or abnormal avoida, type of thing. Like, what can we do this year, Taka, to connect in that way? I'm supposed to sit in my house and be like, I don't know what I need. I don't know what I'm lacking. Like how do we do it at home? Or what ideas do you have that maybe we can use to connect in?
It's real. Go ahead, Yaakov.
I think just on a very practical level, there's avodas that we can do, like very practically. We need to make the time for ourselves as if we could go to Meron. So what do I do in Meron? I daven a little bit. I eat a little bit. I dance a little bit. I sing a little bit. Make yourself a party at home. Make yourself a Lag Bomer party. Light a candle and say, this is in honor of the Holy Tzaddik, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Light the candle, because a Ner Neshama is make a Suda, make a real Suda, make a Yantifdik Suda, or whatever it is, make a barbecue, whatever feels right for you, make that. Put on some music, and just simple. Now, I'll leave you guys to give us the Haichavoidas we could do, but I think the most pasha thing is make it good. Bring the good energy into your house,
Nice. Abe, what do you got?
I don't know. I keep thinking about what I'm going to do for Lag Bomer. Being here, being at home, I've been working. So in theory, Tuesday, Lag Bomer is like a working day, which I'm going to have to shift things around in order to, not necessarily be around. But I remember hearing about maybe one of the Baba Verebbes saying, who's buried in New Jersey, saying that if you can't make it to Rabbi Shimon, you come to me. So I'm not advertising that this is what people should do, but I'm definitely thinking about taking a trip out there. I don't know like what the opening is and last year I went to the Satmar Rebbe in KJ. I went to a bris in KJ, and then I went to the Satmar Rebbe, which was it was a great experience to go and be by another tzaddik who is connected. We're all connected, and especially somebody who's bringing out side. That's the ikar of the day is to I mean, I think is to connect to that, at least for me. So I try to learn, connect to a Torah from Rabbi Nachman. That's usually some kind of a practical situation on top of having a Suda. Suda, I think, is a great idea. Like if you're stuck at home and you really want to connect, dude, eating is always a connection to a tzaddik. Always. Make brachas, eat well, so you feel good. You want to feel good. The key, I think, probably the most important thing.
Reb Shail is behind you, and he's smirking at you. He's giving winks. He's like, yeah, Abe knows what's up. Feed the Jews. Feed the nefesh.
Yeah. You got to feed the neshama. We feed everything, It's muy important, And if you can't get there, say a little piece of the Zohar, Say a little something, you connect, read a story. And, and make sure you smile at people. Muy important. No matter what's going on, you got to make sure to spread that smile and to really connect to the Hod of the day. You have to connect to that. That's like the deepest, make sure that you're creating space for other people to exist. I mean, the truth is that even if you do it just in your mind, in your house, and you're creating space for other people, you're already, you've tuned it up.
Yeah. Amen.
Sometimes a lot harder to make space for the people in your own house than for random strangers on the bus, right? So we have a big avoda this year. It's like, all right, we've gone to Meron. Thank God, we've gone to Meron right now in our minds. Let's bring it home. Let's see if we could open up and be channels for Meron to shine in our houses and give space to our spouses, our wives, our kids. It's not so easy all the time.
No, not at all. Not at all. There's an interesting story with the Kazhnitz Magid. The Kazhnitz Magid's son used to tell his Hasidim, say, on Lag BaOmer, you should go to my father, the Kazhnitz Magid. So one year, he was going every year, and he's like, turns to his Rebbe. He says, Rebbe, I love the fact that you're saying that we should go to your father, but what's pshat? So he said, I'll tell you. One Simchas Torah, we were dancing in Kazhnitz and Gevalt, and my father, the holy Kazhnitz Magid, he was dancing more wild and crazier than any other time that he'd ever done before. And Gevalt, so everybody was like, what's going on? So I turned to him afterwards. He said, Rebbe, what what was special about this Simchas Torah that you mamish went so wild? So he said, I'll tell you. In Shemayim, my father sits with the holy Tana Rabbi Yochai, the father of Rabbi Shimon. And they're always schmoozing. And so my father turned to Rabbi Yochai and said, listen, you want to come with me to Hakafas by my son? He's known as the Kazhnitz Magid down there. So they said, Gewalt, yeah. So Rabbi Yochai came. So the Kazhnitz Magid said, Gewalt, you should know that when Rabbi Yochai was here, I gave me so much energy. I mamish danced on the next level. So the Kazhnitz Magid's son said, if my grandfather is in the same room as Yochai, then I think that my father is mamish with Reb Shimon, and so therefore we can connect and we can be together on Lag BaOmer by going to the Kazhnitz Magid. But I think that this is really by many tzaddikim, like Abe was saying, just to connect, to be there, to be aligned with all the different tzaddikim. So I was also thinking another thought that about making space. Obviously we know Hod of Hod, and the whole avodah of Midas HaHod is, and the reason why it's considered such a dark place is because it's where Hashem, as so to speak, as he relates to us through these different midas, the different spheros, in Midas HaHod, he so to speak takes a step back and says, okay, let me make space for you to exist. Let me make space for you to be what you want to be and to shine your light. And this is, I think, maybe part of the idea of the Medura of Rabbi Shimon, is that we're stepping back and we're saying, wow, let's appreciate the light of Adam, of human, of what it means, and how the prime specimen of humanity is our tzaddikim, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Gewalt. And so when Hashem, so to speak, steps back and we look at him, we go, wow, look what an incredible, look what a Yilud Isha, look what a human being can achieve and can hit. But it really comes from this space where Hashem, in his own incredible greatness, and we as Chazal tell us, any place that you find Hashem's greatness, there you find his incredible humility. And that humility that he has that says, I want to see your light. I want to see your shine. And the tzaddik does the same thing. When the tzaddik becomes this embodiment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he acts in this midah, and he looks at each and every one of us, and he says, I want to see your light. I want to see your shine. I want to see your unique beauty. And I think that what Yaakov mentioned before was really powerful. Like sometimes, when you have an empty canvas, so you can look at somebody else and be like, okay, you're beautiful. I'm just going to assume it. But sometimes when you have a whole history with someone, it's hard to clear that story away, to clear all that noise and just push it all to the side and say, wait, I'm just going to accept you as a soul, as a person, as a whole world that I don't necessarily understand everything. I can appreciate that the mystique of you, like Rabbi Gerzi was talking about recently, that mystique that every person has. And that's really what happens by Reb Shimon. And that's maybe what we can do, like Yaakov mentioned, in our own homes, is just clear it all away and almost go back and say, I don't understand everything. I don't know you. I don't know what to expect from this moment. I don't know what to make of this moment. I'm just going to let the moment be. And maybe in a crazy level, this is really what we really need from the tzaddik, like to know, maybe what we're doing right. That's like a bechina of netzach, okay, I'm doing it right. I'm keeping everything right. I'm doing all the mitzvos. I'm accomplishing everything that I need to accomplish. But when I do something wrong, when I bump into a moment that I'm messing up, and I look and I say, this moment is not good. This moment is bad. I shouldn't have this moment. This is a bad moment. I just blew it. I just lost the malchus. I just messed everything up in my life. And so why is this moment here? And you go, Hashem, if I was the king of the whole world, I would have zapped this moment out of existence because this moment sucks. But then Gewalt, Hashem didn't zap the moment out of existence. And we go, well, why is that moment here? And that's when the tzaddik shows up and he goes, Gewalt, maybe Hashem sees something deeper in this moment that you didn't see. Maybe there's something valuable about you that you didn't recognize. And that's what Reb Shimon's mamash doing to each and every Jew. He goes, chevra, I want you to, and this is, I think, maybe all of Pnimiyas HaTorah is really just to reveal this one thing, that Gewalt, there's something more special about you. And there's something so deep and so holy about you. And we're going to reveal that. And that's mamish, like Reb Shimon. And it could be that's why, like, we thought we were going to forget the Torah. Everybody else who was just learning, all Kala Torah Kula, all said, Torah is going to be forgotten. And Reb Shimon comes along and he goes, no. I know that even in all that forgetfulness, there's going to be a little bit of ear, a little bit of awareness, a little bit of waking up because of my Zohar, because of Pnimiyas HaTorah, that Gewalt. As much as you think people are going to forget. Wow. And that's why we want to be. We want to be by the tzaddikim. Because we want them to shine this place. In Hod of Hod, the fall of falls, Astara Shabbatecha Astara, the darkest of darks.
You're saying is exactly the Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Lamed Gimel with the famous story of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. He's in a cave for 12 years. And then he comes out and he looks around at people doing things, people living their lives, planting and plowing. And he starts burning the place up because how could you? And Hashem says, 12 years in the cave, and you haven't learned the deepest Torahs yet, obviously. You haven't gone to the level I need you to go to be that tzaddik. Go back in the cave. And when he comes out a year later, he starts healing everything. And he's looking at the good in everything. And he sees the guys running by with the Shtei Medane Asa, the two Hadassim. This is what it's for. Zachar v'Shamar. He goes, Kam chaviv in mitzvahs al Yisrael. He went all the deepest Torahs, and what did he come out with? What is the Gemara teaching us that at the end Rabbi Shimon had to come out with? The ability to look at every yid and go, look how beautiful these yidden are. Look at this yid. Kam chaviv in mitzvahs al Yisrael. And even though, but before he completed his learning, he was burning everything up because this is not it. You guys are missing the point. And at the end, it's like, no, you're missing the point. And when he came out, now he's that tzaddik that you're talking about, that is able to look in the Hod Shebahod, is able to look and give every yid the space and say, you are a beautiful yid. I'm going to focus on the good. And this is the core of Rabbi Nachman's whole teaching. Look for the good and lift up the yidden by finding the good within them. This is Rabbi Shimon. This is the Gemara.
My mama said the same thing last year. We were talking about it because it was cool. Last year we made it to the cave. Last year we made a trip. I think it was Bensi, my friend Andrew Rosen, and Binyamin Weinreb. I think maybe one other person. And we trooped up and we went to the cave that he was in for all those years. And my mama said the exact same thing that you said just now. I said that over. I said when he came out of the cave, Hashem said, to be a tzaddik that knows how to burn people up because of his holiness, I have enough of those already. I have something special for. Go back to the cave for another year. I have something deeper. You need eyes that can look past the patch. You need eyes that can gewalt, And that's Mamash Reb Shimon. I'm so out. I'm zeicha that we both had that same kavana. And I'll tell you, being by the cave is a trip. The cave, that's actually pretty cool in the sea also. Last year when we went up and we're driving with Andrew Rosen in this little car, and you have to turn the AC off when you're going up hills and stuff. And you're all moving together. But Gavalt, that car is awesome. Thank you, Andrew. And so we're traveling up and we're getting there, and I don't know who mentioned it. I think he was like, guys, we're going to Pekian. So we drive into Pekian, and it's this really cool village that's Arabs and Jews living together for I think they say that it might be one of the longest standing communities in Israel.
Really?
Something insane like that. And check it up. We'll do a little Google searching. And so you go down, you park on the side of the road, but the Arabs and the Jews, everybody's getting along over there. And you hike down off the side of the mountain, because the whole thing's on the side of a mountain. And you go down, and there's you come to this cave, and the cave is so mellow. So mellow. First of all, there's just huge carob trees all around over there. So it's just perfectly shaded. And it's just calm, and the air is gorgeous, and you can go in. And they kind of blocked off a bunch of spots of the cave because there's a few entrances and it goes deep in, but they put big boulders so you can go in different spots. You climb in and somebody's just sitting there davening, and it's just cool spots and tons of people lighting candles. But it was obviously not nearly as packed as it's very mellow. And then you can go down. There's a little store, there's an old shul, there's things. And then from there, we were there for a bunch of hours just learning, Torah from Reb Shimon, and we sat around just sharing ideas. And also that was so mellow. And then we went, there's this little, I guess it's called Pekian Chadasha or something. And also we hit one of those awesome mikvahs, just trying to find a mikvah, and you're driving around. And some guy's like, what are you looking for? A mikvah. He goes, just walk through my backyard and you'll get to the mikvah. It was awesome. One of those awesome experiences. You need shampoo. And that was it. We mamish we made it to a mikvah, and you get to by the time when you make it to the tzaddik, and you just come and just open. I mamish bless you, me, and the whole world. We should mamish be open. We should be able to look past all the scripts, all the storylines, all those negative thought patterns, all those things that we think we know, how bad we are and how low we are and how much we've messed up, and Gaval be able to see that 13th channel, look past You're beyond the 12 mazalas, You're beyond the 12 months of the year. Reb Shimon hits the 13th, and that's mamish godless, like when you can mamish go and break through all the boundaries. L'chaim.
Yeah, speaking of mikvahs, what's the mikvah story in Muncie? Because over here, it's been shut down, and then I think they reopened it a little bit, but everyone's afraid to go. All I know is I haven't been to a mikvah in ages, and I'm going, maybe that's something important that I need to do before Lag Bomer, is get to a mikvah, the well, Mayan, the ocean, somewhere.
Yeah, I think we got to get to the ocean. I think that's probably like the best, healthiest mikvah.
What's the story in Muncie?
From what I understand, I think there are some like Hasidic mikvahs that are open. Before I went to the lake for Pesach, so I jumped into Seven Lakes. It was freezing, but it was good. It was like a pre-Pesach idea. I wanted to hit the Mick. I mean, I definitely want to hit a Mick before Lag Bomer. Speaking of mix and Rabbi Shimon, I think the first time that I was ever up by Rabbi Shimon, you know how like you go down the hill in the back and you go down into the forest. So somewhere down there's a mikvah. I remember I was cruising through there, and all of a sudden we ran into this guy who I used to meet all the time. This guy was like one of those like interesting cats where he always knew where there's a mikvah. He's like, "Hey, you guys want to go to the mikvah?" We're like, "There's a mikvah here?" He's like, "Yeah, there's like a natural mayan somewhere. It takes us to a place you have to like climb in." I don't even remember what the story was. I've never been back there. And that was like my first mikvah experience in Meron. It was like,
Dude, I don't know if I was with you on this one, but right at the bottom of the hill, there's like a concrete thing and it says, Sumar Menechem Eru Mi Bara Ela. At least used to say it was like on the ground, all the way at the bottom of the valley underneath Meron. And I never knew what that thing was, but one time I was there and they opened up the trapdoor on top of it and you go down and there's a mayan under the ground there. It's like all rocky and sandy. And then there's crystal clear cold water. It was amazing. I think this is the place
you climb in there, right?
Yeah, you have to climb in.
Yeah.
Once you get in, there's room inside, but like you have to.
Yeah. This was like 25 years ago.
Oh, so I wasn't there.
It was like 1995. It was the first time that I was, my first year in yeshiva, and it was good stuff.
There's also
there was something else that I wanted to hit. There was like another. I never went to Saf Sufa. Is that what you're talking about?
I was about to say Saf Sufa, but they redid the whole place. It used to be just that you went in and it was like concrete, bare concrete, and then there's the water coming out of a little hole into a pit. A concrete pit, and it was freezing cold. Now they made it like mikvah. They have a changing room coming out of the little pipe from the Mayan. Freezing cold.
I'm being there. It's like Motzei Shabbos by me. And so when you were mentioning before about opening up and creating space, it reminded me of the story, being that it's Motzei Shabbos here, story of the Baal Shem Tov. When the Baal Shem Tov first met the Toldos Yaakov Yosef, Yaakov Yosef HaKohen from Polnoya was known as a hothead. And the first time that the Baal Shem Tov showed up in his town, so the Toldos showed up at shul in the morning and there was nobody there. So he asks the shamash, like, where are all the people? He's like, oh, they're in the shuk. There's a guy there telling stories. He's like, stories with time for davening, So he goes there and right away he tries to break up the situation. And the Baal Shem Tov tells him, oh, they introduced whatever. And he tells him, I want to tell you a story. He's like, I was once riding in a carriage that was drawn by 3 horses of 3 different colors and 3 different types of horses. And none of them were whinnying or neighing or anything. And it wasn't like a smooth thing until I happened upon a peasant who told me, loosen up on the reins. If you loosen up on the reins, it'll give a little freedom. And I think that, in a large sense, is hoid shebahoid. Loosen up on your reins. When you pull back and you're expecting too much of something and you try to be in control of all the situations, you're not. You're just not. You need to loosen up on the reins. And they say that at that point, they told us, I mean, the Baal Shem Tov obviously didn't explain anything. The Toldos Yaakov Yosef just understood exactly what he was saying, that sometimes you have to create space for other people to exist. And if you create space for other people to exist, they're going to flower. They're naturally going to grow. The growth will come from the space that you're giving them. Showing them the way and showing them the direction of where to go is muy important. But when you loosen up and you allow them to exist in their own way, they're going to grow. So really we should, we should all be zocha, and Hashem should give us the strength really on all times to always be connected to Hod Shebahod and to always be connected to Rabbi Shimon, no matter when, no matter where, that we just give space for people to exist, and they're going to grow. They will naturally grow from you if you give them that space. They'll be connected on the highest level.
Amen. Amen. Maybe we could throw it at you, both you guys, and hear your feedback. And obviously, I think we've been talking about this a lot, but maybe just to open it up in another way, like in our regular life, like you mentioned. How do you practice giving people space? People that think differently than you and have different ideas, how do you give them space? Like in your life, when you're existing and living with other people, what are some practical ways that you're able to give those people space? I know that Abe, you're a big hugger. I think we're all big huggers, but it's interesting also in our family dynamic, you're the fifth. So you're Midat HaHod. So tell us, give us some Hod advice or ideas, like, because many times I think we're all bumping into people that are, different, and yet you want to be able to give them that space and give them that respect.
I think that one thing that's really important is just that you genuinely have to be interested in what's going on with the other person. If you're genuinely interested, then there's a natural connection that people just want to talk. And if you're creating that space for them, like, because you're interested in what they have to say, I guess it comes from a type, training yourself. I don't know.
So what I found works for me, in to continue exactly what you're saying, is like, be interested in something. But what if people aren't interesting? And I found, some people just, like, whatever you talk about, it's hard to connect to. I found that we need to ask the right questions. Everyone, or almost everyone I've met, is actually passionate about something, whatever it is. It could be, maybe it's, for this guy, it's the Yankees. Fine, so let it be the Yankees. But when people are passionate about something, they care about something, it tends to be a little bit more interesting. So what I like to do is, I'll ask a few questions. You meet someone, you ask a few questions, just like try to find something that is a little spark. This is interesting to that person, whatever it is. You could use some of the guy's clothing, like guys wearing a Patriots jacket, like Patriots, whatever. And you just find something that guy's interested in, and he'll want to talk about, and then connect on that. And once you connected on that, if you have, I know I've seen you do this, Abe, where like you're able to just swing the conversation from whatever he's interested in and connect it with something that you're interested in. And you can bring in ideas, suddenly you're connecting now because there's a portal. Everyone has something that they're interested in. Find that interesting thing, open them up and listen. And it is actually interesting. And then once you connect a little bit, they want to hear they want to hear a little, this guy's interested in me. And there can be a give and take, a little bit of netzach and hod. I find that when you go from the bottom up, right? If you're going through the spheres and you want to connect to somebody, so first you give them a little hold, you give them space to express themselves, and they're like, okay, this guy's actually interested in what I have to say, and then they're open to hear what you have to say, which is that you give them a little, give them a little shot of netzach. It doesn't have to. You don't have to follow up with the netzach if you don't want. If you just want to connect, you just give them the hold. Find what sets their fire. But I have it's an interesting practice that I've done for years. In order just to get past your initial blockage from people. I remember sometimes maybe other people have a similar experience that you see people and right away you're like, I don't want to have anything to do with these people. Like right away the judgment goes into place. It's like, I'm not interested. All these people are X, Y, and Z. I label them. These people are a bunch of liberals. These people are so frummy. These people are X, Y, and Z. I remember one time I went to a bris. It was a very Haredi bris, and I was very Haredi back then also. But they were too frum for me. I'm like, I can't handle this situation. It's so frum, and I can't. It's so like whatever. And then I started thinking, if my buddy Yoeli was right here, and he pointed to this guy, and he says, Yaakov, I got to introduce you to this guy. He's such a great guy. Right away, my whole perception of that person would immediately switch over from being like judgmental and I'm not interested to like, I'm open and I want to meet this guy now. He's probably interesting. So I just looked around the room at all the people, and I imagined my buddy Yoeli introducing me to that guy and saying, Yaakov, you got to meet this guy. He's fantastic. And I did that with everybody in the room. And suddenly my whole experience was different. Suddenly I was in a room of potentially awesome people who I might want to get to know every single one of them.
That's amazing. I love that.
I feel like that's what the tzaddikim are doing to us with Hashem. Like sometimes we're just like, plodding along, you move along with life, you're growing up, and then suddenly like you bump in and the tzaddik's like, Yehuda, do you know, like that God fellow that you might have heard about, he's really amazing. You got to get to know him. And by the way, there's a bunch of other chevra. We're the tzaddikim crew. Come, you got to come meet some of these people. And then you start meeting all these different tzaddikim, and they're all like introducing you. And that's when like it breaks you out to this global consciousness.
And then the tzaddik turns around to Hashem and he goes, Hashem, look at this Jew I just met. He's awesome. The guys, look what he does. Even he davens to you even while he's working on his wagon. He loves you so much.
Yep. That's mamish the tzaddikim. And I think they also introduce us to moments. Like Rabbi Nachman, talks about, finding the good, even in a moment of astara shabbateicha astara, and like all the tzaddikim, they're all opening up every moment, till we can get to that place of kol neshama tahalal every moment, right? V'yeda kol asher neshama ba'apai, v'yeda kol pol k'ata pa'alta, v'yaben kol yitzur k'ata yatzarta. Everything is slowly beginning to be introduced to each other and be like, hey, we all come from that one original place. I like to say, you have a pie of pizza and you order a pie, and as you like have all your friends, you grab a slice, you're about to dig in, you go, wait, you want something really cool? You could take all these triangles, and if you put them together, it makes a circle. Like, dude, obviously, that's mamish what happened. Is Hashem took oneness and he broke it into like a billion different pieces, and now we look at all the pieces of creation, we're like, wow, it's so many different things. And the tzaddikim come along and they go, but look, it's all the same, it's all echad, and you're like, whoa, mind blown. It's all coming back together. And that's really where we're at. We're just having these moments, these experiences of oneness, of alignment, of connection.
I love how you made the tzaddikim to that one stoner at the pizza party. Oh, man.
It's just about seeing things from another level another level of perception. And tzaddikim are always about that global view, that global perception of seeing reality, of connecting to all the different parts of reality.
Mm-hmm. So we just need to be that tzaddik for our friends. Introduce your friends. Be like, yo, check this guy. Check that guy out.
Yeah. Well, I think that tzaddikim, there's so many different flavors of tzaddikim, but they're all doing this Indian. They're all doing like netzach chayder yesod. Yeah, I guess they're doing all different spheres, but like sometimes they're telling you what to do. they're teaching you, they're showing you, they're guiding you, they're leading you, giving it to you. And sometimes they're hiding you, or they're appreciating who you are and giving you space for you to exist. Hey, you're worthwhile. You are worthy of existing. And there's something deep and valuable that's inside of you that the world needs, that Hashem wants. There's a reason why you're here. You're not just nothing. You're not just a collection of failures and mistakes. And you're not just a collection of victories and mitzvos and those things. There's something even beyond all of that. And then there's sometimes that the tzaddikim are just, their mamash just mechaber everything. It's like you said, just joining all the different parts together, and you're just connecting with all the other Jews there. And these are the different zones that we kind of do by the tzaddikim. Sometimes we're there and we're like, being menatzeach, and we're davening, and we're accomplishing, and we're making things happen, and we're like, tzaddik, it says that tzaddik goes of Hashem Mekayim. I need you to go. You got to go do this. You got to help us out. You got to go bang down the doors in heaven and open all the gates for us. And sometimes we're just like, needing to just see the beauty in every Jew and every piece and every bit. And sometimes we're just connecting. And I think that maybe that's expressed also a lot in the conversations and the food and in the eating and in the hischabros, right? Like Rabbi Shimon says, "Anan b'chavivusa talia milsa." Like us is what's our Indian? Our Indian is our fellowship, our brotherhood, our love for each other, and that's when you go and you dance, you could dance by yourself, but gavat, when you're just dancing as part of a crowd, and you just become part of this beautiful mishmash, and then you see one of those pictures from above, they have like those, like the hot air balloon that floats around over Meron, and you're like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm in there. Well, that's what it is that we're all,
Well, actually, this brings us to the one thing we haven't discussed, and you just mentioned it, which is dancing. And for some people, that's the most defining factor of Meron, a Lag Bomer. It's the dancing. What is a dance? Dance is, right, we use our two legs, and the two legs we know is netzach and hod. And like you were saying just now, there's always a little bit of a dance. When you want to have a relationship, you want to create yisod, which is a relationship with another. There's always a little bit of a dance of netzach and hod. Hod is I step back and I give you, let me hear what you have to say. I'm interested in you. I'm giving you space to be you. And then there's netzach. Now I want to express myself back. A conversation is always netzach hod, back and forth. And that's how we create the yisod, the relationship, the connection that we have to one another. And a dance, it's a little bit of a dance. It's like, I give, I take, I'm forward, I'm back. It really is a dance. And when we
right
go to Meron,
foot, left foot, don't cross
your feet. Simcha.
Right foot, left foot, don't cross your feet. But sometimes you do cross your feet.
That's right. And sometimes you fall on your rumpus.
That's right.
But that's the dancing that is expressed in Meron. It's all about giving space and being willing to move a little and not being rigid. Dancing it's a release, right? You can't dance rigidly. You have to let go. You have to let the energy flow through you. And it's the dance of going inside. That's also a bechan of a dance. Going inside and pouring your heart out in prayer, or finding that spot on the roof maybe of the tzion. I like on the roof because you can breathe, but you're on top of the kever. So and pouring your heart out in that way, and then going out and partying. That's a dance. Netzach and hod, back and forth. It's also Aaron a Cohen. I was thinking before you were talking about again hod, giving space, and we're saying how the tzaddik goes to the yidden and he says, like, Hashem is so gavaldik, and then he goes to Hashem and he says, look, these yidden are so gavaldik. That is exactly what Aaron and Cohen used to do. That's what right? We all know Aaron. Two people weren't doing so great with each other, an issue with the relationship. You go, this guy loves you. He's the best. Come on, he really loves you. All he wants is to make up with you. The other one, this is the whole thing of Aaron and Cohen.
Yeah.
So it's
this week, the week of Hod starts off with Pesach Sheni, right? Chesed of Hod, and it's cool, right? Is that first of all, Reb Meir Balanes is his yahrzeit on Pesach Sheni, whatever, according to some, And Rameir is the one
We're
who
into the
says,
Tverianers.
right. And Rameir says, right, I feel Poishim, I feel, Kol's man Shem Yisrael and Nikra Aleim, as long as they have the name Jew on them, then Gevalt, like they're loved, they're dear, they're cherished. And I think that it's cool because like the week starts off saying, maybe even if we missed out, we can still have another chance. And they go, yeah, we can do that. We can give you another chance even if you missed out. But then we're slowly working our way to Hyde, and Hyde is like, what if I didn't get the second? What if I missed out on the second chance too? What if I don't even like know if I really want to try? And that's Hyde of Hyde. It's like, I'm so far gone. But Gaval, that's when the tzaddik like really reaches out and says, hey brother, you too, like you mentioned before, you could dance in the darkness. Like you said you could dance. So I was thinking dancing in the darkness of Hyde is like sometimes you're just like, I missed out on dancing the first time. I missed out on the second chance of dancing, but when the lights go out, everybody could get up and dance. Suddenly, nobody's looking. And it doesn't make a difference if you know how. If you don't know how, you don't need any chances because there's no, at this point, suddenly, what's the lashon is that the great love that's revealed there, mamish, covers over all sins. I'll call. Okay, I forgot the lashon, but basically, that's
Kol
mamish.
Peshayim, Al Kol Peshayim Techaseh Ahava.
Thank you, and that's mamish Hyde of Hyde. Is that Hashem says, I'm willing to step back, and everybody goes, wait, but why are you doing that? That means that people could mess up if I let the horse's reins go. Like, who knows what they're gonna do? Maybe they'll make the wrong choice. And she goes, yeah, that's okay, that's all right, but yeah, it's good, don't worry, let him breathe, let him sing, let that horse run, let him whinny, let them.
Right, that's what Hashem does to us. Like you're saying is, the old question, Bechira and Yediyah. But Hashem does to us, he says, I'm going to pretend that I don't know. I'm going to make it as if I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going to look aside. And I think Hod, Milashon Hoda'ah, or Modeh, is like, I admit that I don't know. For a human being, it's I admit that I don't know. For God, it's I'm going to make it that I don't know. I'm going to look away and let you do your thing. But for us, it's admitting I don't know. I don't know you. I never will because you're a mystery. Another human being is a complete mystery. I'm not going to put my preconceptions on you and say, oh, I know who you are and I know what you're going to do and I know your path. I don't know you. So I'm going to shut up and listen to get to know you, whatever you can reveal to me. And that's modeh. It's also, I admit my own shortcomings. Like I'm not all that. I don't know. I'm going to give space to the parts of me that I don't know and to Hoda'ah, modeh. God does that to us. How cool is that God does that to us? He's willing to give us the space to, like you said, to screw up and to say that, I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going to give you the option to make your story.
Yeah.
That's why, from that aspect of the Hod, that's why you'll run into the 750,000 people when we're allowed to go to Rabbi Shimon, because there's no restriction, there's nothing holding. It's any Jew of all colors, all flavors, all aspects of relationship with the Eibishter that are just coming there that are saying, I don't know, but something is compelling me to be by Rabbi Shimon. I have to be there. I don't know why. I don't know what. Maybe I'm going to have falafel. Maybe I'm just going to have like some petal coming out of the wall. Like whatever it is, I have to be by Rabbi Shimon. And it always tripped me out. I guess that's why I always loved being there so much. The fact that you have all different Yidden there. Every type is just drawn right in, and everyone feels at home by Rabbi Shimon. I guess at the deepest level, we're all being modeh that, hey, we need to connect to what we can't see. We need to connect to that depth that we can't see.
Wow.
It's also why I always felt like Lag BaOmer was in some ways a greater gathering than Uman. Even though Uman's like a really intense thing in Rosh Hashanah, but Lag BaOmer, there's no women in Uman. Lag BaOmer is all of Am Yisrael, every Eidah, every gender, every time, like you're saying. And the fact that there's the holy women are there, and there's a whole section, there's just the whole family. It's for all of Am Yisrael. And I think like one day we're gonna have the Beis HaMikdash, man. It's gonna be beyond our dreams. We don't know. I'm modeh that I have no idea what it is, but maybe a little hint is the celebration of in Lag BaOmer of everyone is welcome, everyone is accepted, everyone finds their place to connect, no matter what it is, no matter which way you need to connect. You need to dance, okay, there's dancing. You need music, okay, there's music. You need a studio, okay, there's studio. You need friends, you need to hang, you need to daven, you want to learn, whatever way there is a path for you and your Indian to connect over here. It's all God and his faithful messenger, Rabbi Shimon. It's all inclusive.
The Holy Chevraya.
Chevraya Kedisha, baby.
Gewalt Chevra. I'm feeling, I think we want to wrap it up. And it's been very special. Once again, really, really special to be together with all of you guys to talk about some of these things. I definitely feel a little bit more open and ready to continue this journey towards Reb Shimon. That's the Nasiya, when you have like your regular schedule, you have like, you know what it is that you're trying to do. You're stuck in your yesterday, oh, yesterday I made a plan. It's got to be this, this, and this. But when you're going on a trip, who knows what's going to be? Let's see. Let's be excited. Let's be open. What will
Ever, you ready to trip?
Gewalt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Just
also
be
feel,
minded that you don't know where you're going and you don't care. You just want to connect.
That's it. And maybe that's what Hashem says, like I'm willing to step back because I love you so much. I don't care. To a certain extent, you have to stop and say, I'm not even thinking about where we're going. I just want to be with you.
it's interesting. You remember that Sinai Torah song, Abba Shekazeh? Sinai Torah, I think it's on his third album. It's not. It's his first one, I think, was the best. Third album. All right, I shouldn't talk anything bad. This song happens to be one of his best. And I'll tell you the lyric he talks about is 3 kinds of Abbas. 3, not 4.
It's Reb Shlomo's words.
Really? I never knew that. Anyway, he talks about 3 kinds of Abbas. There's one kind of Abba that says, hey, son, follow me, walk in my path. I already made all these mistakes, so just if you follow my footsteps, you won't end up somewhere else. Follow me. Gavaldik, beautiful. He's willing to go in front and lead his son along. There's another Abba who says, come, son, take my hand. Let's walk side by side. Let's do this together. It's going to be great. And then there's another Abba. He says, go, run, do your thing. Because you know what? We're both heading to the same place. We're both going to end up in the same place. So go, run as fast as you can. Let loose, baby.
Go, my son.
Yeah, this is also very Rupshitz. We were talking about the Rupshitzer. He just let his kids. They all started their own things in his lifetime. They became rebbes of their own, towns and villages. Very interested in like, do your thing, become what you need to become. I'm not going to be scared or, by what, what you want to do. Search, be open, be so open. Rabbi Shimon always says, you got to let go. You got to let the kids go. And I remember somebody asked that, like, well, when do you let your kids go? At what age? And he said, at every age, there's always some level of letting go. You always need to let go. Our children, even though they're put into our, rishus, so to speak, but it's in our rishus to be able to take care of them and to feed them and to give them what they need, but they're not ours. We can't control, we can't take responsibility for everything. You have to let them go. Hashem put them in the world with their milas and their chesroinus, and they're going to have to go and do their own thing. And the truth is that we have to know how to do this with ourselves as well. Like sometimes you have to say, hey, I could try to control. I could try to make myself always do everything that I'm trying to do, but there's a certain relationship that I need to have with the mystery inside myself. There's a part of me that's Hide of Hide, and that's being willing to face the dark side. This past Thursday night, talking about this a little bit. Like sometimes you got to say thank you, Hide, Hoda'ah, for Hod, which is the fact that there's a shadow, that there's a part of me inside of me that's mamish dark, and it's mamish scary. And sometimes I have such ritzinus mamish to be connected to Hashem, and sometimes there's a real darkness. Sometimes I could have real mean side to myself, and a real strong ego, and a real strong and taivas, and all sorts of things that can really frighten a person. And some people, they're like, no, let's not acknowledge that such a thing exists. And maybe sometimes we even hide our children from it. Oh, I don't want to let them know about there's some things that are so dark, and let me not think about it, because emunah and betachon means I just think that everything is rosy. No, emunah and betachon is emunascha baleilos. Like emunah is when we can embrace the fact that there's a real dark side to things. And Hashem created this world with a midah of Hod. And I want to be thankful for that Hod. I'm going to say, something, Hashem, thank you for making me with a part of me that's real dark. But I'm going to own it, and I'm going to meet it, and I'm going to meet those moments. And I'm going to slowly light up the darknesses. I'm slowly going to build a relationship and a conversation with those parts of myself. And once I can really accept that, then maybe I can really truly become. This is where the tzaddik's built. Sheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. The tzaddik is built in the dark places. The Havdil, to quote Kobe Bryant, he goes, everybody wants to be like me, to be Kobe Bryant. But you know what it means to be me? It means that no matter what day of the year it is, I'm the first guy in the gym and I'm the last guy out. Do you want that? Are you going to own that? Or do you just want to be the guy who's hitting the game winner? Do you just want to be number 24 on the court, crossover, fadeaway, bang? That's what you want. But you haven't owned the dark moments. You haven't owned the pain. You haven't owned the suffering. You know what it means to be a tzaddik? A tzaddik is not just gewalt. Like we look up and we're like, oh, it's so sweet. He has such a beautiful beard and he looks so holy and he's saying the most beautiful Torahs. No, the tzaddik is made in those dark moments when he fights, when he struggles, when he had those times that I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning, but he did. And I didn't want to face that dark side of myself, and he did. And I don't want to, deal with the frustrations and the challenges of life. And the tzaddik is the one that can meet those moments. And then gewalt, and we look up and we're like blown away by the mind-blowing ir v'kadish min shemayim achis. But gewalt, he was born to a mother also. Every one of us was born to a mother. Moshe Rabbeinu, right? They say that gewalt, if you saw his face, those that know how to read faces, they'd be like, oh my God, this guy is so bad. He owned it. He owned it and he worked it. And that's what it means. Own the height of height.
Right. And it's not just something that we have to get past. It's a central feature of the whole system. This is the point. There would be no otherness if we didn't have darkness. There would be no otherness. We'd just be, all right, God's minions. God doesn't want minions.
That's a good one.
He wants people, man. He wants people who are living their own life. And the only way you could be your own is by being in darkness, separating, being cut off from God, where things don't make sense, and then working through it. And then now you're your own dude. Now you've done something. Otherwise, you're just a puppet. So it's a central feature of the system. So you give thankfulness for it. The only way you can give thanks for it is first you have to be modeh. First we admit, like you said, face the shadow, admit to the dark side, admit who we are, admit our struggles, admit it. And then we can be thankful for it. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to be, to do, to accomplish. Otherwise, like who wants to be controlled by somebody else? Everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants to be their own person. We don't want to be controlled. You don't want to be controlled? Okay, like you said. Here's God throws us opportunities. Here's a guy stomping on your foot and shoving you to the side. Here, you want an opportunity? Let's see. What are you going to do with this? Here's another opportunity and another one.
Yeah.
Gewalt, something, after all this, maybe we were just coronated every Jew to be a Rebbe, because like we were talking about what makes a Rebbe, right? But we're discussing this idea of Hod, and the idea of, when you mention Rebbes that have secluded, right? It almost seems like the biggest Rebbes had a different time period where they had to take their time for themselves. And here, with Corona, Hashem has coronated us all Rebbes, because he put us all into seclusion for X amount of time. And, I guess, look, something, now here we're in the week of Hod, things are easing up a little bit. Here in New York also, we were allowed to have, they made an announcement that you're allowed to have backyard minyanim. And it's really interesting. So we were all, coronated into that position where we were put into that separation. We're like, hey, go work on yourself. Go recognize to yourself what your issues are and find what you have to work on. Dig deep, dig deep. And now maybe it's time for us to come back out and really just be united and, be taken out. And it's time for us to have this geula, with the sefer of Rabbi Shimon, It's time. Abba, it's time.
Wow. I got to tell you a funny story. Yet another Rupshitzer story. They keep on coming out from I don't know where. Every time we think that we just said more of them, there's just more of them popping out. But about facing the dark side. So the Rupshitzer said, I say Ashamnu. It's real. Like, I recognize that place. But God knew. He goes, when I get up to Ya'atznu Ra, I gave bad advice. It's not true. I honestly can say about myself that never in my life have I given bad advice, at least not intentionally. I've only given good advice. That's just a wild statement. He says, but because I'm with everybody else, I got to say it. So I say Ya'atznu Ra. But then when I get up to Kizavnu, I say it with a full heart, because Kizavnu means I lied. The Rupshitzer. So you gotta own it all.
All right, man.
Most people. Yeah. Anyhow, gotta love it.
Well, it's been fun.
Yeah, I love how as soon as we say we're like closing up, suddenly that's like when like some of the deepest errors come out.
Yeah, that's how it goes,
The ace and the Elas Shar.
Yeah.
Anyhow, chevra, I'm looking forward to being together with Reb Shimon. Maybe we should just do like a big Reb Shimon get together on Zoom, just like with anybody who wants it, and just have like an awesome Reb Shimon conversation on Zoom.
Wait, Yehuda, aren't you part of a panel and doing a whole thing on Lag Bomer?
Yeah, at night we're doing a little Tairala. Sachia Faderman is organizing it through Simchat Shlomo, but Geschmack. But I'm saying even maybe just like with all the chevra, just get on Zoom at one point. Anybody who wants to jump on, we can just have like a fun schmooze. Anyhow, I love you all. Mamish blessings to the whole world, wherever you are that's listening to this. You should mamish be connected to Reb Shimon, and we should all be connected to all the tzaddikim. L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim l'bracha. Have an awesome Lag Bomer, you guys. Hope everyone has an awesome Lag Bomer and connects and gets what they need out of the Yontif.
Amen.
Yes. Amen.
Amen. Gewalt.
Chaim. Be gebenched.
Just to say, they say Gal. Lag Bomer is Gal. So the holy Chernobler says that you have two options. Either the Gal, that wave is so tough. So it's so tough. Gewalt, you can't handle the waves. They're just breaking over you and they're breaking you. So then it's tough at the end. So it's Galos. Gimel Lamed tough. Galos. But Gewalt, if you remember, there's a Hashem and there's an Aleph right in the middle of every Gal of your life. That in every darkness, as Mamash, even in, as the Aptarav says, even in Chet, there's a little Aleph at the end. Then you have Gaal, Geula. Because as you put the Aleph, Mamash, right in the middle of that Gal, and that's Mamash Lag Boimer, right? Tzadik b'emunasa yichya.
Right on.
Let it be, let it be, let it be.
Be blessed.